with the MOMO X3 system. Some of you may not know about MOMO X at all. You might be new to the group. You might have just joined in through just the subs. But MOMO X is something that we've launched probably close to 10 years now. We've been using this system for a while since MOMO X1. We had multiple games on different chart panes, and it's gotten to a point from having a spaghetti on the wall to now being a full-fledged proprietary system that we have, where we kind of mapped all multi-time frames on a single chart and also have those all mapped out there for you as well. So what's nice about this version and this release from its predecessor is that MOMO X, the first and second, was swim. I'm sure that Riggs has brought up to your attention in the past, several months. A trading view version, we've come to find out because of the rules and red tape and regulations that they didn't want our MOMO X on there, so we just decided to create our own. And so this is the aftermath of that, and I just want to come here and share this with you guys. Now that it's released for this particular week, this is launch week, so we want to make sure that if anybody is interested in it and you want to get your hands on it, we can send it out to you. We are going to give you a pretty sweet discount. This is just for this week only, and probably in the foreseeable weeks of this month, we will offer some other discount in place, but this is going to be the time for you to get it. So I'm going to go through basically of the features that you're going to get, but it's not going to be encompassing. Those of you that's been with me since MOMO X, we had every little bit of the system and what you're looking at and the understanding of the technicals and how we would use it. I'm going to go and just highlight certain features, okay? One thing we do in the classes, which you'll get with this, right? That's the bonus you're going to get. You're going to get the classes that I do every Monday and Wednesday to know how to trade using the system and how to use it, right? Following our game plan, so that you can be profitable. Okay, so that's the bonus, and by having MOMO X3, you're going to learn from us how to trade it, and obviously you're going to get the trainings, and you're going to as well, so you can learn it yourself. So with that said, this is the system. It's pretty naked right now because I turned everything, well, not everything off. There's certain things I left on here, but you can kind of see that this is what we have. Just to open the app, because it's probably one of the big things that I get asked a lot. You would just download it to your computer, right? And you can see I just double click, and then now I'm up and active.
Hey, Clark, sorry to interrupt, but not a lot of us can see the stream, so this is maxed out.
Oh, okay. It is recorded. You could probably have Matt. You want to share your screen or something? I don't know.
I can try. I don't know if it'll work for both, so share. I'm recording it too, so we'll have multiple recordings of it. But yeah, I'll share.
I can share my screen too, Clark. So I'll
or Alan.
Go ahead, Alan.
Go ahead, Alan. Let me see you guys enjoying Alan's view. How do we? I thought it was 99. There can't be more than 99 here.
I think it was like 50. Soup was in at 29, and he got kicked out when it climbed. So it wasn't first come, first serve.
Yep, I can watch Alan's.
Yeah, just watch Alan's and then go on mute, guys, and then we won't hear the feedback and it'll be clean. But yeah, so you can kind of see. Are you guys good now? Before I continue.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, no we're good. Thanks.
All right, no problem. All right, so you guys can kind of see how I open it up. What you'll see here is that it says live and is with Schwab. So what's nice is that this is connected to the Schwab API. The API in itself is not mine, yours. So you're going to be connecting your keys to it, which is totally free as long as you have a Schwab account, that's free to open as well. And then once you have Schwab, this will be basically real-time data coming in. I'm hearing a funnel from Gobble. I'm going to have to mute you, sorry. I get easily distracted, guys. So you can see that this is going to capture the real-time data. I'm going to just fast forward a little bit to kind of tell you that our plans to have it so that we will run the real-time data for you, and you would just then log in. At this point in time, because of this launch, you're going to do that yourself, which takes it's the guide is already set up. You get it all completed, and we'll have support to help you, and then you'll be up and active. Okay, most people get it up and active within a day. So with that, you can see how I loaded up. This is a new feature that I just kind of did right now. I mean, I can load up another workspace. One of the big things that was asked was to kind of load up a workspace. So if I open a workspace here, I can get another one here. And that's kind of nice. You kind of see all the different things that we have on here, which I'll go over. But this would then can sit in your other screen. All right, you can kind of see there's two workspace here now. And then when I close it up or open it back up, you'll have the workspace saved to wherever monitor you have. I have a lot of apprentices that has multiple monitors, and so they would like to use that. The other part is that, with what you're getting here, it's basically any device anywhere. So most people love this for mobile. You'll love this for your iPad, or even, the bigger flip phones, or that you can expand out to your view. So you can have that up in there, and so it's very easy. You can add that as an app as well, and so once you have that up and running, it's good. I can't tell you enough how easy that makes it, because in the past, in Thinkorswim, we would have to load every morning scripts, and it takes a while for then even price action to move, and a lot of times we're getting delayed signals, and obviously that's going to impact, the kind of entries and exits you'll have for entering plays. So with that, that's a new feature. I just want to mention that. Some of you guys were waiting for me to mention that, and so that's there. So that's a brand new thing. Managed billing, all of that stuff is here. Some of the normal stuff you'll see from like TradingView, it's being brought up here, so you have that in place. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and turn some things on. Navigation around this, right? It's basically synced to, what I'm able to look at here. I can look at 5 bars across. I can kind of set this to however many bars further out I want to see. I can center this to make sure that, my margins, in case it's not 10%, I want to increase it to 20%. It's always like that. These are little things that, you kind of would expect. And I bring this up because a lot of things that we have to build from scratch, because this is our own system. These are things that it's kind of a needed, right? It's a necessity that we need to bake in place with having the system there. A lot of the normal tools is also here, right? We got the horizontal lines and vertical lines. Everything else is here as well. You can kind of add whatever text you want. Hello, right? And you can even adjust this to different type of fonts and all that. So it's all kind of here. You can add notes here, and if you have a default, like you like this as default, save as a default, and then you can clone it so it looks exactly the same. Or when you start up a new drawing, it'll look exactly the same too. So again, a lot of the normal stuff that you would see from any trading software, you can kind of see that this is also showing a guide to see how far things can expand across, right? So all of that stuff is here. Okay, I'm not going to go through every single one. I think one of the cool things that I thought was really nice, because I do this a lot in the demo classes or the recaps, is that I like to draw fibs. So when I do, I'll draw fibs, and with the fibs, I like to draw, where the fib demand zones would be, which is basically where the 50% and golden fib is. Now, at this point, I don't necessarily need to draw the box around that fib. I can just basically snap this in there, and the fibs are. So with that, you can have it already kind of mapped out there for you, and I can change the fill for it, or you can just remove it completely. If you like this, again, save as a default, and it'll show up like this every time. Why am I bringing this up? Because we use fibs a lot, and so like what's nice is that if you can see, if I turn it on going up, going down, you'll have kind of support here, and if I do it the opposite, basically intelligent to know that if price action is above or below, right, it'll just mark it based on the colors that you have, supply and demand zones that's there. So that's what's nice. And then you have a lot of drawings there. You can kind of clear the drawings. You can type in there. A bit, and then from here, right, maybe I don't want 2 years, I don't know, maybe I want a year. I can zoom in. I can kind of see where the dailies are. Right, I can adjust and move this however I want. So right beside your 5-minute chart, if you're looking at that, that's our primary. That's what we like to use. We can see what the daily looks like, and if I like to look at other time frames, let's just say, right, I can kind of link this all together so it's all SPY here, right, and this could be linked to, I don't know, the 1 hour or so, right, then I'll have that, and if I don't like these lines, I can get rid of it, you know, and then I can kind of see, like, okay, look, we're bullish across these levels here, right, and we're coming back down, but we're still over the 50 MA. You'll just be able to read that, and you'll have it all kind of here inside your main chart. And so if you don't like it, you can kind of get rid of it, and then you can have that set up. I probably have a few of these all over the place on my main chart, just so I can kind of look at the different time frames. I think for most people, they don't look at multi time frames as much, maybe because they're not equipped to be able to do that. I think at this point, because it loads pretty fast, you can be able to change time frames and then see the different time frames of how these multi time frames are forming across the board. And so with this, I mean, we can literally change this to QQQ we want, all right, and then that would change with it. You can see how that snapped and changed with it as well. So that's pretty nice. So you can have that there. So that's one of the new features. I don't think anyone has that. They'll probably take this idea and mimic it, but this is ours. And then with that, you can have different drawing sets, just basically whatever you draw on there, you can save it so it goes away. Any drawings that you have in place as well, right? We can kind of lock it so you can't click on it again, like here, and you see I can click on it and change it. I can lock this up so I can't click on it anymore. That's one of the features that it's really built by traders, right? Every apprentice, ascension, and those that's been part of the program give me some feedback and tell me what they like. Over the years, we've been teaching this stuff, and we want to make sure that we have the things that we use and we like. There's obviously going to be more things that we get added. What's nice about having this being on the web, and essentially it's a software that you can pull from the cloud. I have a lot of different versions. You can see it's version 3.204.93. Every version probably gets released. I probably work on it at least once a night, and so you'll get a new release day and the next day. So every new features and every new updates gets updated straight to you, and once you load it, you'll have the latest, and that's obviously great. In the past, we did not have that luxury. We would have to literally wait 6 months before major releases, and then I will share that with you. In this case here, if there's an issue or a fix, I can just send it out to you, and you'll have that uploaded. Okay, so here's kind of what it looks like there. So I just want to share that with you. Let me go back to SPY, because I can go SPY or Q, doesn't really matter. The different time frames, you have it here. I've included 1 minute, 3 minute. You can create your own custom time frame too if you want. The intervals are all here as well, so you can kind of mix and match to see what time frames you want to look at and have it there. So that's in place. You're going to see that down here. This is actually something that we've always had. I just made a new version of this, which I really love. It's because right now I'm able to see across multi time frames what time frames are bullish and bearish. For us, what's bullish is 9 EMA over 21 EMA. It's basically really standard from a technical side. As long as you're over it, so you're bullish short term. And what's nice is that if it's also over the 50 EMA, it'll highlight it here as well. You're going to see that on the 30-minute here, we have basically the 920 cross down, right? Basically the magenta cross down, but the 50 MA is still bullish, and that's why you're seeing that half split. So it can go either way. So what's nice about that is that you can be able to tell, not that there's a signal there to indicate that we're going to cross down or up on those different time frames, but you're also going to know that it's likely a counter trend against the 50 MA that's not particularly bullish yet. So for example, when this crosses down, you may get a signal, but you're not under 50 EMA yet on the 5 minutes, so you're still kind of bullish. So until you cross down, break back under, retest, and then start to come down here, you're not very bearish until right around here, right? Versus here when you can get a sooner signal that might be released at that time. So that's kind of what this is showing you. The power of this is incredible. And again, if you wanted a deeper dive view of that, you can just, again, draw your 30-minute here. You can say, okay, what does that look like? And if you study it enough, you can say, oh, I see it. The 9 is under, but the 50 is bullish. So that's what this represents. And it'll be the opposite ways too. Okay, so that means you're not super bearish. You're not super thinking that we're going to go in and say once the 30-minute cross all the way down, this is fully magenta. Then you move on to the 1 hour because the 1 hour is bullish. And so that's how multi-time frames works, is that it's going to move in succession across different smaller time frames to the higher time frames and vice versa. So it's going to do that type of movement for you to watch. Okay, so multi-time frame, don't make it a scary thing. Once you have it up and you understand it, it's very, very powerful to have that right in the palm of your hand. So that's what I have there. I don't know who's making that sound. I'm trying to ignore it, but it's obviously distracting. Okay, so there's that. All right, so on the chart you have that. So I shared that with you, and I shared with you some of these buttons here. You're going to see that there's a pop out here where you're going to see that I have the signals. This is probably one of the things that everybody is looking for, is where the signal's at. What's nice about the signals is that the signals in itself are able to hide and show. So if there's certain things that you don't like, you can just kind of hide it or show it. The 4-8 signals that we've used quite often, especially with the arrow down, early signals to tell us that momentum might be moving towards being more bearish right here at the top and then crossing down. Then we've seen that from the 4-8, we can see that the 920, which is right here, that crosses down to give us further confirmation of a trend change. And then we get some continuation signal of with trend, right? Do we get MACD signals that are moving with the trend that can possibly have the trade go further down? So you have that. And then fire signals are basically from the squeezes. So you're not going to see squeezes right now because I have it turned off, but basically these yellow candles, or I call them gold candles, are basically where your squeezes are. So with that, you'll have your signals. What's nice about the signals is that you also have basically this highlighted duration of how long these signals can last. And so I say it's great because once you have it up, you can kind of see where signals can last. And so this painted we're seeing here, when we get like the put 30, or let's say the put 15, this will last for 15 minutes and this will last for 1 hour before this series of candles get painted. So you can kind of say that when this P1H appears, you're going to drop for 1 hour. We kind of interpret that. Yeah, thank you, Matt, or Alan, thank you. So that's what we have there. I know for some folks, this may look like a lot when you're seeing this, but trust me, when you have all this data in place and you just want to glance at the chart and you want to see, oh, when can I get in when there's momentum? This is what you would do, right? You just have this up and then you can have this as bright as you want, and then you'll be able to trade that and say, okay, this is where I want to trade. Maybe you'll avoid all this chop, and maybe you'll trade this, you'll trade a little bit of that, and that's how you would go about using it. It's obviously helps to have that as a visual cue. And if you want to not have it up, you can just hide it. It's entirely up to you. Okay. But that's something that was pretty recent when we added that. I think that was part of MOMO X2. I could tell you from the old system, it was bogging down the system quite a bit because it was kind of spanning across all different charts and everything. And if I wanted to, I don't have to have it show up on other days. I can just have it for today only. And that's nice, just a click of a button to have that in place. So that goes with signals, so you can kind of see what that looks like. Now, with just signals, right, you can have obviously overbought, oversold that we have here to kind of indicates to us that, we're bullish, but, we might be at the tippy top there, or we're bearish, but we might start to, retrace back up before we start to come back down. So these are great to use. We'll teach you how to use it. Basically alongside signals to tell you breaking above or below certain, or not signals, levels, breaking above certain levels to tell you when is the best opportune time to enter it. And then for the R vols as well, right, you have that in place to tell you when there's a higher volume dynamically being traded on that particular candle. So you can kind of see that taking place. That gives you further confidence to tell you that there's just more hands being traded there. So that's nice to see. And then these dots are just simply where the direction of the squeezes are going to go. So again, there's a lot of things that's very customizable that you can have on here. I even have this like ghost here. What this is interesting because this is actually brand new. A part of this system is that we have had signals that would appear when the crosses take place. But the fact that we understand that when the crosses takes place, it could be mid painting or mid painting of that particular candle off of like a 1 hour off of a 1 hour bucket is what we call it, right? So what I mean by that is we know that this is 1 hour, right? So if a 1 hour candle would form and we see this signal itself may not appear until we start to come midway through to the downside, and then the signal appears back at the top. Right? Well, now, instead of having to essentially see a signal pop back at the top, I've added this kind of ghost filter to tell you that the cross happened here. It'll stay there, but then once it's done, it'll revert back to where the start of that cross line would appear. So it's nice to see real time that, hey, I just got the cross up, and you're not seeing that it's kind of pointing back, because everything is real time. We want to make sure that's happening. And so the reason why it's being sent back is because that's the start of that 1 hour candle forming, and you get this being the 1 hour candle that's showing the breakdown to the downside. Right, so that's a little cool feature that you can kind of play around with and see, but it's nice to understand when the crosses are taking place and how they're mapping out on those particular time frames. So that's a little ghost here, and this is a ghost because it'll appear and then it'll disappear and it moves back to where it's supposed to be. Okay, that's signals. Now the next thing would be levels, or I'll talk about levels before I look at the ON. So let me talk about levels. So you're going to see that we have levels here. There's all kinds of levels that we like to use. You can see that we have previous high low. We even have open and close, right, levels, right? And I can actually turn the labels of these on. So those are all there for you, so you can kind of look at that. You have moving averages across multiple time frames, right? We have those as well all the way down here. It's color coded so that you can see that price action is above all of these moving averages. And again, when you're looking at multiple time frames, these moving averages are basically on that particular time frame. So daily, monthly, weekly, you will see that 9 EMA is here and the 21 EMA weekly is here off of the month, off of those time frames charts. And so why they are valid is because it's actually one of the OG levels that I've been using in the past. It's worked extremely well. I just brought it back in, and honestly, it's worked extremely well because what we know is short-term bullish is 9/21, so we have that on these higher time frames as well. So levels are there. There's a lot of levels. The fact that we're over all these levels is actually really good. We had to cross through these levels, and understanding of the fact that SPY we know kind of ripped up. It needed some momentum, some catalyst to kind of break through some of these supply zones, especially where these levels are at, to kind of bust through. And the fact that we got through all of this, it's pretty bullish for the market. Now we could easily come back down and retrace and do all that good stuff, but these are levels in which price actions above it, we'll see a bit more demand down here, and vice versa if it's supply up there. So levels are automatically drawn in there for you, so it's there. It works extremely well. So when price action is there, you're going to see prices manipulate and consolidate around certain levels so that you can watch it. You can kind of see previous day close right here. Price action is kind of consolidating around it, kind of, I would call it sticky around it until we broke down. So these are things that you'll be able to see on there and why price actions behaving the way that they are, right? And that's really what's important, is just to have the visual understanding of where did we reject at what levels? Because when we look at levels, we're thinking levels as being something that causes price action to sway one direction or the other. Because at levels, it's just a representation of where buyers and sellers are at. Sellers are placing likely sell orders here, and buyers are placing buy orders here, and we're able to see that on the chart, and that's what these levels are there. And so you'll have that already kind of mapped out for you, and you'll be able to see where prices may start to gravitate towards these levels, which, the bigger the levels with interest, right, the more price action will navigate or travel towards it. We kind of look at that as a magnet in which price action get pinned down to. So levels are there, so you have that. Again, you can turn them on, you can turn them off, however you want it. So it's all there. I don't have particularly a color like you can't customize the color because it's all just mapped out based on bullish and bearish. But it's something that's easily added. So if in the future someone wants that, we can do that. But you can kind of see the levels are all here. And it kind of explains to you what it is, and then label of it is also here as well. Okay, and then the other levels that we have. So I'll just remove this for a second. We have autofibs. Autofibs was introduced probably last year or two. I've liked autofibs for a while. We've talked about autofibs because, you know, we would draw fibs on a chart all the time. And then we want to figure out, you know, where could we retrace back to? Because really what Fibonacci is just a Fibonacci retracement. And when we're talking about retracements are basically if we're moving one direction and then trying to figure out, you know, the direction that we can retrace back up to, we want to be able to see, you know, where that level would be. And so with the autofibs in place, we can kind of see that off of this move here, the maximum move would be this. You see it's automatically drawn for you. As long as we stay below this, we then are bearish, right? You just remain bearish there. And so that's what you would do with the fibs. And so once you understand that, you will have the fact that, you know, under all the EMAs here, you're bearish, and all the auto fibs here, you're also bearish. So that helps you to remain bearish in the market. And you can see how we're under the 50 EMA here, we're under the auto fib right here, and then you can see how we can become bearish. And that's what's important, because for us in MOMO, it's just to understand overall trend. And we always say trend is your friend. You probably heard that before, and now we are able to visually see where the trends are and to stay with that trend more often than not. So we're not caught up seeing a call signal here and thinking, oh, wait, we're going to reverse. Instead of reversal, you're thinking retracement, and then we might start to fall back down, retracement, fall back down, retracement, fall back down. So you're staying with trend all the time. Okay, so the autofibs are there. There's a lot of autofibs. We've tested many and several ones in the past. These are the ones I really like. So I kept them. There's some that might be mudding to you when you're looking at it. You can obviously remove them. These are the ones that I like, and I have them up. And then it's something that you'll get used to. You know, if you don't like it at all, you can obviously get rid of it, and you can kind of get rid of that entirely, and that can be very clean for you to just have that view. You can have different views. There's views like this where it's just the line. I actually need to have the lines for all the other ones, which I can fix that very easily. But basically, I can see that, you know, I have the fact that underneath this 50 EMA here, I'm bearish to the golden fib. From a visual standpoint, I think anybody can see that under the 50 EMA and under the 50 EMA here and under the fibs here, you're bearish. So that's the visual that we want you to see. So you can see that, you know, with the fact that we're under the Ichimoku here too, that's another level. We can be bearish. And so when you're seeing these put signals underneath these big levels here, you can start to grab puts and see that we're bearish, and then be able to profit from this move down here. The profits I made from the morning was basically here, right? And I don't know if I have a screenshot of why, because what I can tell you, I'll show you in a bit, because right now we're all looking at this and saying, okay, this is great, Clark, because this is coming down, and I can clearly see that. But what's nice is that when price action was up here, I'm going to show you guys in a bit, we have an additional study that I call it the squeeze stack, that has multi squeezes in place to tell us whether or not this contraction here is going to lead to a pop up or a drop down. And so what's nice about that particular study is that I saw, from what I recall, is that we had a bearish divergence. So as prices moving up, we had a bearish divergence showing weakness at the highs, and that grabbed puts, and then we started to then squeeze down as these squeezes break below the zero line, and then we started to come down here. So it was great to be able to have that kind of deciphered for us. You didn't necessarily need to understand what was going on. It basically would just tell you bearish divergence, and you see put signals, you go with that, and then all of a sudden we start to then drop down with a squeeze firing to the downside here. So that's basically the auto fib there, and then I just shared with you some squeezes, and I'll show you some more stuff on the squeeze stack. So you kind of have that all in place. This is probably something you can adjust however to your liking. You know, you can make this as bright as you want or dim as you want, so you can kind of see it there. So what time do I have? Okay, so I'm going to try to make this a little bit more quick because I want to make sure I'm done and answer questions. Again, you can turn on and off labels. Some of this stuff I'm going to let you know. I mean, this is kind of a first launch, right? And this is the reason why we're actually kind of offering everything here at the discount, even though we know we're gonna fix these things and make updates and optimization on it. You guys are gonna get your first hands at this. So if there's anything here that just needs to be fixed, we're gonna move some of these some of these icons here to the right places, maybe make it a little bit more user friendly. All of that stuff, it's gonna be updated. You'll have that. Because I'm already seeing some things here that I want to remove. Like, we don't necessarily need this as an icon. It can probably sit with all the levels here. One other big thing that we have, we've kind of done this a lot in the past, is to bring in the high OI. High OI is probably one of the biggest things that, you know, everybody wants, and it takes us time, like 30 minutes every morning, to pull all the high OI data coming in from the big three. So what we like to do is to look at, you know, all the open interest that's out there, and then we want to see that from that, you know, what are the ranking of the high OIs, which prices can get to, because I just told you that levels in itself with a lot of interest, prices like to move to them as a magnet, right? And so we're able to see essentially every day where smart money is placing their bets. And so every single day, we're able to see that, you know, smart money may have a big OI here at 770, and that prices may want to move there. And you kind of see right here, right on the money, prices then start to then get a demand, start to get bought back up again. We can see prices move there. So every day you're going to be experiencing that. You're going to see that price is actually moving to these levels. And so one of the levels that we prioritize and we love to see, because it's real time, is the fact that these high OIs are there. And the high OIs isn't something that you can easily figure out, because we're pulling out a lot of data from multi-weeks and then having to figure out the formula to get the high OIs in place. What's nice about this version is high OIs are everywhere. So you do not need a script that I have to send to you every morning. Alan has been doing that for us for I don't know how many years now. It's automatic. So because of that, we can pull out any ticker, and then we'll be able to see the high OI. And so you're going to be able to see where prices may go. You can kind of see it loaded up fairly quickly there, right? So that 325 here and 327.50 here were rejected. All 320 down here. All these levels are there. You know, I mean, it's kind of nice. I'm just giving you some mags here for you to see. Price action behaving and moving around this. I can give you some off names too. I mean, Cat's a pretty popular name, but you kind of see levels already drawn out for you. And so what's nice about this is that, you know, I don't necessarily need to see the top 20. I can see the top 5, and that'll change. I can even see the top 50, which there'll be a lot. And like kind of the sweet spot's been 20. So I'll move back to SPY so you can kind of see it. And why do we like to trade SPY? Because we've traded 0 DTEs for apprenticeship for quite some time. Ever since it got introduced, I feel like it's been 5 years now. You know, 0 DTEs wasn't even a thing when I was around trading. And so now that we have that in place, we can basically take advantage of 0 DTEs trading and be able to kind of snipe these entries and exits and get out with a big ROI. Okay. So with that, we have the high OIs there. So you can kind of see that. What I like about this button right here is that if you were trading and you were trying to figure out what high OIs can we go to within the expected move, that's what these expected moves are here. You can turn this on, and then it'll just show, like, you can basically, this is off. This is all the high OIs, right? So under 775, big OI, you can see this big kind of dashed line here under the Ichimoku going to the next biggest dashed line here at 770. You can see it's highlighted at 775 to 770. You kind of have a feeling that, you know, from under 775, I've already taught apprentice, I don't believe in these single digit numbers, 6,000, 7,000, 7,000. I believe that we're going to go from one double digit, 88,000, to another double digit is about 29,000. And so with that belief in mind, once you practice this long enough, this is where we're going to go, right? And then buying the right strikes and the contracts and all that, that's going to be something that we'll go over in class, so you can understand, you know, maybe it's probably a good idea to grab 773s, 772s, and maybe not 770s, because we want the intrinsic value. We want the contracts there, and we want to be able to fight off any kind of data burn and all that, even though you can be profitable grabbing the further out, right? So you can kind of see clearly that under 775, big OI at 770 here. And again, if I want to throttle this down, I don't want to look at the top 20. I can look at the top 10. You kind of have that there too, and that kind of clears it up a little bit. So it's entirely up to you how you want to view it. I think more information for me is always good. Sometimes, you know, it might be less is more for you guys. You can use that. I like to see more because I could see price action behaving around levels versus just kind of hoping and praying it's going to go to somewhere. I'm able to see that, oh, okay, it's just consolidating around this level, which is really nice to see. And so with this is just the expected move. So we map out the expected move in the morning, the afternoon, and then at the late power hour. So within that expected move, we're able to see where levels can travel to, because what we know about the market is that market makers are pricing in moves every single day. So we're able to see what the expected move would be. And so within the expected move, we want to see what levels it can travel to. So you're going to see that real time. You're going to see what levels actually are still there, and those are the levels that we might want to go to. And if the levels aren't there, then you're very much likely we're not going to get there. You're not going to buy 768, maybe you're not going to buy 7675. You're at the very end here, you're probably going to go to 770, right? So those are things that you'll be able to see and figure out, and you're going to know exactly what strike to buy, right, and where we can go. That's probably one of the biggest things that folks that have never been introduced to options trading, they don't know what to do with that, because they'll buy further out and say, oh, it's dropped $1, $2, and I'm not making money because it's too far out the money and the contract's about to expire. So things like that can help. So this is a brand new thing that we kind of introduce. It kind of helps clean it up too a little bit. You kind of see that. So you have that all in place. Okay. So I'll just do that for now. And this is the high Y. Okay, so then I show you that with the signals. This is just the squeeze. So let me introduce that to you real quick. Yeah, I need to speed up. So the squeezes in the sub here, basically squeeze represents contraction or expansion. So expansion or contraction means that in contraction we have a squeeze. Squeezes represents buyers and sellers all trading in one zone or area. So when prices are expanding upwards, right, and we're seeing a squeeze, which is the top of the bands here, which is in gold, you're getting the opposition kicking in, because if it was expansion, there wouldn't be any squeezes. So with that, you can see that price action is moving up. Squeezes get introduced because you see we've been moving up all this time. Then we're getting opposition kicking in, put signals, and then now we're trying to squeeze down, break the squeeze, and then starting to then fall lower. So we're able to see that, okay? You're able to see and understand when there's congestion. I like to call it congestion. It's like driving on the freeway and seeing congestion. You're able to see that very clearly. So you're not thinking, oh, we're gonna go straight up here. No, you're gonna get congestion here, right? You're probably gonna get a little bit of a detour before you come back up and so forth. So you're gonna learn how to read that in class. In the training videos, you're going to understand how this is all stacked together with multi time frames. And then this would probably be a good idea to introduce a squeeze stack so that we can see this, right? And then we can kind of tell at this point when the squeezes are. You can kind of see that in the morning, what I was talking about here. Right here in the morning, what I've done is I isolated all the time frame that had squeezes so that I could see that right off the morning when we had the squeezes here. Well, guess what it was doing? Because every time we have a squeeze, we're getting the opposition. I want to see when is the point when we can become bearish. And the moment we become bearish right here, right, is when then we can start to squeeze down. Then we get the squeeze signal firing down underneath Ichimoku, and you kind of start to see that we're coming down here. What's nice about this, and then I'm trying to be quick about it, is that I can just isolate what I want to see. I can see that we're super bearish here. I can see multiple time frames here, and it seemed like a lot. But once you understand that squeezes in itself, just like how these different time frame works for these time frames work for the trends, the smaller the time frame will have to happen first before the higher time frame happens. So you might have squeezes all across the board, and you might be thinking, well, how do I read that? You can just isolate the 5 minute here and see how that's moving, then to the 15, and then to the 30. So you kind of have that all in one place.
Oh, really?
So why this is special is because
Dang.
okay, thank you. So why this is special is because we used to pull all the multi time frames up. I mean, this is essentially why I had the squeeze here. I mean the multi or the mini chart here. It's because I wanted to see the squeezes. Right, so if I change the different time frames here, I can see the squeezes, which is nice, and I can have this squeeze stacks here, and I can kind of take a look at this to see what this looks like, right? And I can isolate this, so I can see that, right? And I can kind of get rid of this here again. Got to customize this and get rid of this, and here. So I can see what this looks like, but I don't like, why would I need to open another, time frame to see it? I can just see it here, right? So if I want to isolate the 1 hour, I can just go here. This is a 5-minute mapping of what this looks like here, and you're able to see it on the 5-minute chart, which has been our primary. And we can see that the moment that 1 hour squeeze was descending and it dropped under the zero line, we then squeezed out. You see how we squeezed the downside here? And that's how I got the other like close to 200% move here, because of this. Because I was watching the fact that we had to squeeze, and then finally we squeezed out, and then we dropped down, right? So that's kind of what happened there. So instead of having to look at the other time frame, which you can still by using the mini chart or having another chart pane up, you can just look at it this way, and that'll save you some time. It's more efficient as well. Okay, so there's that, and there's a lot more features in here. I don't want to do much because it's probably best for class, but I want to show you that that's what it looks like. A lot of very cool things that you can do with this. You can see the colorization. You can even customize this however you want, right? And then once you understand how to use this, you very much clean it up to see the things that you really need to see versus seeing everything. You might not want to see everything, but at the same time, you might want to see it because that's just the way you like to look at it. You can kind of see where there's a bit more strength, weakness, and when things could be more bearish and bullish based on that. Okay, so understanding trend and the squeezes is all right here. So you have that in place. And then obviously you got the different candles that has different borders here that we can adjust. I got some requests already about having the candles being hollow. I can do that. It's not too hard. And then as well as maybe changing some of these colors up, which is probably what I'll work on as well. That's okay. We'll do that as well. And then one of the cool things, I'm sure, again, Adham or Riggs has been shared this with you. He shared the animation. So we have animation for every kind of signals that we have. I had requests about having specific type of time frames, have specific animation. Of course, you can do that. I'll just add that and it'll look something like this. You'll just check that off or not and which animation you want. So that's kind of nice to see. For some of you guys that like one particular kind of signal, maybe that'll work good for you. And some of you guys that want them all on, you don't really care. You can just leave it as is and it'll be fine. Okay. So you kind of have that in place. It's kind of a cool thing to have. It's not necessarily something that you necessarily need to trade with. It's been smooth so far just to have it in place. So you can see where these signals are. You can kind of change this to whatever you want. You kind of see that gets adjusted. So all these different animations there that you can have. This is just the 9 EMA, 50 EMA, 21 EMA. So you can turn on the lines if you want. Got the 200 SMA here too. So I just turned it off because I don't necessarily need to use it. These are your critical time frames. So again, structure of the market to understand when these next 4 hour candle forms, when we can get a retracement period within all of that stuff. It's all mapped out here. So you'll learn a little more about that. That's why I have these lines kind of drawn out to the downside. You're going to see a dynamic shifting in the market takes place around these time frames. We have basically after hours here, you can change that to wherever you want. You can turn it off. I usually have mine turned off, so I don't necessarily need it. Some of you guys might like it. That's pretty much just like the chart. I'm going to go one more. Yeah, because I'm running out of time. The option chain is also on here. What's nice about the option chain is that, I have this basically looking at the high OIs already. So what's nice is that all these ones are basically high OIs within its expected move. And so what's nice is that I have a daily candle rendering to see when prices are going from one level to the next. So you can kind of see that, right? And the reading of the colors is something I'll go over in class. Basically what tells you where there's support and resistance or what levels we can kind of get to. So it's also here as well. Again, I love looking at the daily because that tells me what a whole day may look like and how much we can travel, because the data that we get for expected move is the entire day. So be able to see what a daily candle looks like, whether it's gone too far or not, is something that's great to see. Because this looks like a pretty bearish candle, but you can kind of see it's a bit muted. It's a pretty muted day as well. So I think today could be a more contraction day that could lead up to expansion more tomorrow. Okay. What's nice about this is that one of the things I've always wanted was obviously highlighting the colors of the high OIs. What I also like is to have it back to, this is normal. I would think, yeah, this is normal where the option chain going south is bullish and going north is bearish, which to me is not bad. I've been used to it, but it's not oriented the way I want. So maybe I want calls at the top and then bearish at the bottom. but maybe I don't want that too because I don't really care about what's in the money because I'm looking at the high OIs further out. Maybe I want it all on the same side. So because I like that, I can just move this across so I can see all the out the money OIs. That's what we look at from the OIs perspective on the high OIs anyways. So I just thought, well, why even look at in the money, right? We can just have all the OIs here. And you should be able to clearly see where things could be more bullish, going up. And this will be basically following the fact that price is going up. And then this is going down. So this is obviously on DRAM. I didn't link it. See if I can link it. SPY. And then this will show up. And what's nice about this is that I can have another one. So basically I can add another options here. I can add a bunch. And I can have two of these here. And I was just thinking about saving space. Like the reason I did this is for mobile. I want to see the option chain, and I don't want to see everything, so I can see where things can go to and what the levels are as a bit of a mini version of the option chain. So I have that there. So it's kind of nice to see. So it's not just like overwhelming to your charts. You're probably gonna not see any option chain on a mobile vertically on portrait mode. Now you have it, and you can see it. It's pretty clear. Okay. So a lot of this stuff can be customizable. You can add a lot of things here that if you like them or you don't like them. I could even remove this back to kind of just the plain looking colors and all that. That's something that I can do as well. So there's that. There's different multi-time frames. So I can set this up like that. There's news. There's watch lists I can add. I can just drop and paste some tickers here. And that's pretty much it. I mean, this is basically the system. And so if I turn everything on, right? All right, I can kind of see where these levels are at. Let me turn that on. And then I can see the names. I think I have this correct. Yep. And then, I'll just leave the animation as is. So just a bit of like a recap here, as far as what levels that I'm looking at. You can see that when we got puts, right, how we would look at this is that we're in this retail period where just a lot of volatility, right? And I think I need to turn on. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, so we're in this bit of volatility here. I think I know why this is. Okay, there it is. So we're in this. There it is. This bit of retail period, which is the first 30 minutes, a lot of volatility. So we're trying to figure out direction. The moment we enter a squeeze, look down. You see that we're in a squeeze. Then you see overbought signals. So we know that first level is 775. You want to see that the squeezes go what? South. Breaks down under the zero line. Now you're bearish. Put signals there to confirm. And you have this whole thing kind of lit up here. And so we're bearish. You can kind of see how that streams all the way across there. Okay, so you kind of have that in place, so you can take a look at it, right? And again, if you wanted to just strictly look at the 5-15-30, you can have that there as well. But only when there's a squeeze would you care for it, right? This is probably one of the most difficult things to figure out, but this is something that makes it extremely easy to understand, I think. Now I can kind of isolate what squeezes are there. So now, as far as the recaps, I can say, oh, we had a squeeze here. What time frames? I can see it there, and I also can isolate that as well. So when you're trading, you're trying to figure out, oh, there's all these squeezes here. You can click on it, and then it'll isolate to those squeezes, and then you kind of see, oh, these are the ones I want to focus on. So that way, you're not like, well, I see all this information here. Which one should I pay attention to? Well, the ones that have squeezes. So click on that and you'll see it, and then you can get rid of it. All right, so that's nice to see as well. And that's a new thing I don't think any of the beta testers even knew about. So you can kind of see where levels can go. So it's kind of what I want to share with you guys. Just a bit of a demo. I do want to take Q&A because it's basically near the top of the hour here. There's a few more things I didn't really cover yet, so I'll save that for when we do an actual class on this, which will be 3 hours long. And the more things that I wanted to unveil. There's also these little legend down here too to kind of tell you bullish and bearish divergence, all of that good stuff to kind of give you a read. And there's more and more things in the works. There's just I have a backlog of 100 things that's going to be added to the system. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who wants to really play around with it and get in and experiment. You guys can really see for yourself, right? I want to you to see that a lot of Apprentice and Ascension are using it. It's doing well. I think it'd do well for you guys. So with that, I'll open it up to questions. Let me know if you have questions. I think you guys can all talk You know, if you want to type it up, that's fine too. But I'll take some questions about this. Oh, you know, before we do that, we obviously I got to do the giveaway. So hold on, I got a screenshot. I think that'll be the easiest way. Let me screenshot. And some of you guys are thinking about your questions. Just think about it, and then I'll screenshot here. It's probably why you guys are here. You're like, hurry up and finish, Clark. We want the giveaway. Hold on. So let's see. So don't move because I need to take a picture of you guys. Give me a second here. And I got all the way to Aaron. So Aaron, and then here. Okay, and then I got all the way to OG. OG, where are you? Where's OG? Oh yeah, OG. Okay, and then Onyx. Let's see if we can get you. It's a lot of people here. All right, so Pilar. Okay, Volt. Okay, this is the end. All right, perfect. All right, so go ahead and ask questions here, guys. I will be taking them. If you guys need to take off, feel free to take off.